podcast, brought to you by Ahmed Khalid and Ahmed Al Hamamsi from Middle East. Our Global S&OP Community podcast mission is to build a global community from supply chain, marketing, trade marketing, sales, and finance all over the world, where everyone's voice could be heard and listened. Every week, we host a new episode with great thought leader in the S&OP industry. We believe that one word, one story, or one conversation could open up the light in the screen of your consciousness and you'll never be the same again. We discuss hot and trending topics with our subject matter experts by asking the right questions that uncover their valuable experience in our show. You can visit our website ahmedkhaled.co. Stay tuned every week with our Global S&OP Community podcast. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all those beautiful people who are listening and watching us right now around the globe. Welcome again with another new episode with our Global S&OP Community podcast. And may I ask you, as usual, can I ask you to write where are you from in the comment, just to send you, as usual, also some greetings for you and your amazing country. And let me remind you about the mission of our podcast. And the mission of our podcast is building a global S&OP community, not only from supply chain, but also from marketing, trade marketing, sales, finance, where everyone's voice could be listened and heard. That's why we specified this podcast for you, because your voice matters. We spoke about the mission of the podcast right now. And let me speak about the mission, our mission, especially in this podcast. And our mission in this podcast is to host executive and global thought leaders in the S&OP field to uncover their valuable experience to you and our community. And today, let me tell you that we have two surprises to be declared in this podcast. The first surprise, we have him back. My brother and my co host in this podcast is back. Let me send some greetings for my co host, Ahmed Al Hamamsi. Ahmed, great, great to see
Thank
you,
you.
Ahmed.
Thank you.
Hope that
Thank you.
everything
Thank
is
you
well
so
at
much.
your end, and I'm sure that we
Yeah.
have a huge duty today, and very
Yes.
great topic, and a very great leader today.
Thank you so much, Ahmed, of course, and thank you so much for carrying on the torch, as I can say, during these, I think I was away for 2 months, of course, and thanks for all the people who reached to me also, and I'm happy to be back, of course, and happy to join back, and happy to join back the community, our global S&B community, and knowledge you cannot find in books, as we always say, and we're very happy to be back,
Thank you,
and
Ahmed.
let's go.
That's why we are here all to support the community. So let's send some greetings for our lovely friends who are joining right now. We have our friend Mawiwa from Zambia. Thank you so much for
Thank
tuning
you for
in.
joining us.
Great to see you. And our friend Umayma Sulaiman from Egypt. Thank you for
Hello,
tuning in,
Maima.
Umayma.
Hi.
Yes, thank you so much. Our friend Ahmad Qasim from Egypt. Thank
Hi,
you for
Ahmed.
tuning in.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Our friend also Jihad Hatem from Egypt. Thank
Hi,
you so
Jihad.
much for
Hi.
tuning in. Thank you. Also, we have Sharihan from Egypt. Now I think that we
I
have
should
too
have,
many
yes.
people today from Egypt. Thank you
Yes,
for
that's
tuning in.
great. Yeah.
Yes. We have also Abdullah from Saudi Arabia. Great to see you. Thank you so
Great
much.
to see you, Abdullah. Thanks for joining us
Thank you. We have Alia Rafat
from
uh, f-
Dubai.
from
Yes.
Dubai. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, uh, let me just come back into our topic. And our topic today has some misconceptual thoughts about it. And we are going to talk mainly about the order to cash cycle end to end. And if we go and speak about this topic, many people in the business field, especially, thought that the order to cash cycle is a financial responsibility or just an accountability from the other side. But let me just correct this statement. It's not right at all. Actually, order to cash involved most of functions and partners in this cycle. And let me just give you those two perspectives. The internal perspective, especially inside the organization, it could involve not only the finance as we spoke, it could involve a sales function, supply chain function, trade marketing function, and sometimes also marketing function. And from the external perspective, it involved many partners
Yes.
from the retailer side, third party, contractors, customers, distributors, and sometimes even sub distributors in the case of B2B business. Inside this cycle, and I think it's very compelling, there are many questions to be asked. What is the meaning of payment terms, and how these payment terms, if you set it, it will change the game inside the business? What is the meaning also of credit limits, and what could be the math behind it? And this is we reveal all of this today. What are the stages inside the order to cash cycle between a seller and a buyer? How could this cycle affect the CRM and SRM for any business? All of those questions and more will be answered by our thought leader today. And here is the second surprise that I want to say today. And the second surprise that we have today, a thought leader. And I say it, I don't want to say as a thought leader. She is a legend. And it's not her nickname, but it's the reality. And we are going to talk about this. She is a business legend by the meaning. And our legend today is Rabab Galal. So, little bit about Rabab, and I think that we can speak about Rabab for years, but I will try to summarize it in a very simple, easy way. Rabab Galal has over 22 years of business experience across multinational companies. She played many roles, like CFO roles, with the biggest multinational companies around the world. Companies like Unilever, Pepsi Lipton, and currently in just, please, can you hear me, guys?
Yes,
Hello?
I can hear
Can you?
you. Yeah.
Okay, so coming back to our. Can you hear me? It's okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. So Rabab has played a major role in shaping a finance vision inside those companies. And because of her sense of leadership, she supported a strategic and tactical business decision within the Middle East and drove companies toward their, uh, I would say, desired imperatives and business vision. Actually, if I speak, it will be unfair just if we can captivate her role inside only finance function. Her business acumen and business understanding allows her to have like a 360 degrees around all functions from supply chain, sales, finance, marketing, and even trade marketing. And if it implies on something, then it implies about her entrepreneurial mindset inside the corporation. That's why let me seize this amazing moment and let's all welcome our legend today, Rabab Galal. But as usual, let's give her this applause.
I am humbled. Hello, everyone. I'm really, truly humbled. This is too much in an intro, Ahmed. And Ahmed, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
that.
Thank you, Rabab, for joining us.
Um, Thank you
It's
for
a
having
pleasure having
me.
you. It's a pleasure
And
having you. And I think that today, as I spoke, Why I'm saying a legend? Because really you are a legend, and this, if it implies that you have great values, and we will have these great values to be uncovered today to our audience. So welcome to the show, Rabab.
Thank you, Ahmed. And again, Ahmed, both of you, thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone. Truly, I'm humbled of that introduction. But let me say, I came here because of the title. It's "Show Me the Money," so it's all about this. Most of you, honestly speaking, so to be very clear, whenever you say "Show me the money," you'll find the finance person jumping right
Yeah.
away for that.
Yeah,
Definitely, yeah. So,
that's why. Yes.
yes, absolutely.
So let me just I'll try to present my screen, and let me just brief our audience today. It will be a conversational way, but the first question,
Yes.
to give you an overview about the order to cash cycle end to end. So would like to thank Rabab just for preparing a simple slide about the order to cash cycle end to end. I'll be able to present it right now. So let me know if you can just see my screen in front of you right now. You can see it.
Not yet, but
Not
until
yet.
you project it, so
Yeah.
it's not more of illustrative elements of the order to cash cycle. I just wanted everyone to be very clear. This is not a finance process. This is, as Ahmed already mentioned, it's a business process. There is actually misconception between all of us that it is owned by finance. On the contrary, sits in the heart of the organization. And I know everyone knows the phrase which most of the companies now are calling for it, which is revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash is reality. And if you come to think of it, we all chased revenue. We wanted every day, let's go hunt the sales. And then someone comes and say, where is the profit? Which is the finance people, by the way. We always like to say, where is where is the profitability? Are you covering your expenditure? But in reality, it's all about the cash at the end of the day. How much money you earn and you have in your bank as either free cash flow, or either you have it in terms of your operations that you can really fund your operations later on. And that's why order to cash cycle is very important. You can see it's a very illustrative here chart, and I'm not sure whether it can you make it bigger or not. You maybe
Yes.
I'm being
Uh,
challenged from my eyeglasses, yeah, but just to be very clear, it's very
okay.
simple. It's really sits in the heart of every single step we do in order to capture our sales, starting from order management and credit management, which sometimes we tend to forget. It's not matter whether the customer has credit or not, or can pay or not. Let's do the sales, let's hunt for it, and then fulfilling that order itself and dispatching it to the customer, invoicing him, or invoicing the customer for that. And then after that we start realizing, oh my god, I have accounts receivable, he owes me money, I need to chase him for paying and collecting it. And then we start like trying to chase for the collection, and last but not least, reporting it. They are very simple steps, but if you come to think of it, you can see it sits in the heart of the organization day to day. And while we like look into it as if, oh my God, these are like transactional part, which is trivial, not important. Let me go hunt for the sales. This is the exciting part. I'm delivering the KPI of the sales, check. I'm delivering the KPI of the profitability, could be, check. But
Yeah.
then what at the end of the day, do you really collect? Has really the customer received the order in full? So comes here, by the way, if you think of the S&OP and the CC foot and the KPIs of the customer service and
Mm,
supply chain, that sits in the heart of it. Do they really deliver, let me say, the 3,000 cases that the customer asked for, did we deliver it all, or did we miss one case and then the order is not fulfilled in total? And subsequently, we will not get our money of the 2,999 cases. So this is a fact. It's very important cycle, and it sits in every single step in the organization. So I'll pause here for questions. Maybe Ahmed and maybe everyone would ask about the cycle itself.
Yeah.
You addressed it very nice, Rabab, and very, very simple. Yeah, it lies in the heart really of every business. It's very important. Maybe people think it's easy and simple, and the steps are simple, but really, because I've been there in three or more organizations. Really, the order management, it's in the heart of every business. If you don't manage the orders, you have a lot of backlog orders. If you're not following up on the receivables, and then suddenly you will find some credit notes coming, and then you're paying the credit notes, and the finance is chasing the marketing. What activities did you do? Why? Or sometimes the distributor is just sending credit notes by end of the year. All these kind of problems, really, it's what I've seen through the years, and of course you have more experience than me, I've seen this through three maybe or more organizations that I faced in sales and operation planning. In every organization there is always a problem in the order management. We're not fulfilling the orders on time. We're not classifying the customers ABC classification, so we know who we should deliver first, or we should give the priority. What about the collections? Are we looking at it? And then the cash cycle, we don't have enough cash to deliver salaries or some things like that. So it's really important, and I just wanted to comment about that, and thank you for this simple illustration.
Yeah, it's very, very well summarized, Rabab. I think that let's dig deep little. That we had this an overview for the order to cash, and I think that with your great experience on that order to cash and just a holistic view on the business. So, the first question that I would ask you: what are the biggest challenges inside the order to cash cycle? And we are open to listen for stories, because this will bring more questions and more questions.
Absolutely, but I think Ahmed already mentioned them. In a sense, he was like heartfully telling his challenges that he faced during the
Yes,
order to cash,
yes.
which is right. But let me say, and I'm cheering to all the finance people, maybe with us now today, because we pity finance. They really chase at the end of the day, and everyone hates them. They are chasing, they
Yeah.
are controlling, they are stopping the shipment. Why they are doing that? But in reality, let's start with the most important part. Externally, what are the challenges? A wrong sales order, basically. If we start from the first step, wrongly, I took the order wrongly. And let's be clarifying few different things, because could be the order taking is different than the order management. So a salesperson who actually sitting the direct sales force, he has taken the order of the customer, and let's take he took the order the customer specifically mentioned. He's missing the shampoo bottle, which is black variant, not the pink variant. And the guy, instead of checking on the black, he checked the big pink, because he heard, and he was very running quickly. He wants to finish his order taking because he needs to do a positive call, and he needs to do like 20 or 8 positive calls per day, and each call will take 30 minutes. So wrong order from the starting point. And then eventually someone would fulfill a wrong order, customer will be dissatisfied, has two options. If you are good in managing your customer, you will tell him as a salesperson, please take the order because I can't return the driver now. Take it and I will replace it first thing in the morning. And then this customer pity him, he accepts it. On the account that tomorrow you will change it. And then you forget. That's the first step, a wrong sales order. And it could be anything besides, I'm going to that extreme, black to pink, but let's say I'm ordering 3,000 cases, you actually ticked 2,000 cases. So the order itself, you have written a wrong address. I'm a customer who has different chains, and I agreed with you that the dispatches would be to the multiple chains. So one in one city and the other, I'm placing the order, for example, from another city. And eventually you actually written that sales order to go to the other city rather than the sales order of that city. So anything can go wrong from that front. That is one of the biggest challenge. And this is related to human errors, by the way. And most of the order to cash cycle issues would be human errors. The second challenge, in my view, would be if you're using different platforms. Unfortunately, we have to realize that functions rely on each other, but I don't care. I'm a salesperson. I'm using my handheld. I took the order. It is interlinked to an intra website. I don't care whether someone else is working on Oracle system, SAP system, I don't care as long as I did the order. I'm not sure what ERP system you're using, and the customer service are using another ERP system, and finance are using another ERP system. And that is definitely will be, you will find it in medium-sized and small-sized organization, or organizations that have multiple acquisitions where they don't have integration that frequently. This is one of the challenges as well, because working on different platforms of ERP systems could cause errors.
Yes.
Another challenge, and posing here, which is, I believe, the biggest challenge, honestly. Someone would say, yeah, don't talk about master data. It's not important. If I put the customer is called Ahmed, by mistake, I written him AHMD without the E. It doesn't matter, but it matters at the end of the day. Master data is very important. The case fill is very important. The specs is very important. The account number of that customer is very important. So wrong master data could end up that the business cannot fulfill not the order, not the sales. No, we will record it, but you'll never get the money back. So you did it for free. As a matter of fact, honestly speaking, to be very honest from that one. Yeah. Another challenge, which is a big challenge, which we miss it as well, how we rely on each other as functions. Logistics. As a matter of fact, guess what? The operation itself is depending on the driver.
Yeah.
You leave it to a driver that he, as a matter of fact, will dispatch your product correct to the customer, ensure that it is being delivered, sign from the customer that's being delivered, could solving a problem. Yeah, I give you 1,000 case, except 2 shampoo bottles, I'll get it to you tomorrow, just time.
Yes.
And then what happens? Your customer will hold your
Never.
invoice for 2 bottles.
Yes.
Literally, will hold it for 2 bottles. And I'm taking the example of the shampoo, but you can imagine for multiple examples. Now, the biggest question is that what we do as logistics, yeah, to ensure that we know. And here comes another challenge: controls. While we all hate, yeah, controls, we hate finance when they say we need to audit the process, we need to do the controls of the governance, but without these controls, as a matter of fact, could you add to embezzlement? I could be the driver takes he has taken the 2 bottles and delivered, as a matter of fact,
Exactly.
1,000
Yes.
cases
Yes.
except 2 bottles.
Theft.
So where is your controls? So these are some of the challenges that face the order to cash cycle. I know it sounds very simple, but as a matter of fact, it all falls on what? That we assign ourselves to the responsibility that every single action we do on a daily basis is important. There is no trivial action. There is nothing called I'm doing a small job, or let me say a donkey work, which everyone will say, don't tell me I don't like master data. It seems like donkey work. I like the interactive decision-making support. But in reality, this causes the business to lose. 5 to 6% of the business revenue could be lost because of order to cash cycle not efficient.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly, Rabab. I think that you just brought us into one of the major pain points inside many organizations, which is the silo thinking and silo. Just everyone is looking or focusing on his own area, whatever. Whatever just transaction he will do, he doesn't care what will happen, or just doesn't understand what will happen
Absolutely.
and what will be the result after. And I keep just saying this because I can relate to all what you're saying. So sometimes that uh, people or organizations that they think that when I just invoice my stuff out of my warehouse, now my job is done. But there is something after these deliveries. You actually, this is one of the things that disrupt even the CRM, customer relationship management, between your organization and customer relation, because at the end of the day, it's the reputation of the brand of the company or the organization could be devastated because of those thoughts. So thinking out of the silos, understanding, and I think this is one of the major challenges, that all organizations should have a holistic view. Not everyone just look into his own area. And sometimes I believe that it comes into the leadership. Everyone, we have the repetitive issue. But what are we doing? What are we doing about it? Can we take a real action on it? as you said, and I love what you said. It's about when it comes to reality, logistics has a big role on this challenge, because if the logistics doesn't do the order to cash cycle and just claim management in the right way, at the end of the day, this will affect the total cycle with the customer. Customer just was thinking that his claims, I didn't receive this. I didn't receive this.
Correct.
I return it back to the transporter, and transporter, he should return it back to the warehouse, and warehouse put it inside and didn't change or just process the claims. And you'll find out that all of this at the end of the day of reconciliation, when we come and reconcile with distributor, with the retailer, you'll find out that there is a misleading. Where is my money? I need my money. And sometimes even it reaches to a credit limit challenge. And then the account is got blocked. And when you come and see the whole cycle, it's because the efficiency inside the process. So I can relate to
Correct.
each point. I can relate to
Absolutely.
each point.
Definitely, definitely. It's about also integration and communication, like Rabab was saying. A lot of problems may start, and it's like a snowball, something small like the two bottles, and like this, and it start to repeat, and then at the end of the month, or at the end of the S&OP cycle, you find a lot of big challenges that you're having. So it's about also, I think, measuring, putting these as KPIs, following up, and helping the people in finance, getting show me the money, like we are.
Absolutely. but
Exactly.
Yeah,
but if you allow me to say one thing, because that is a
Sure.
very important point, which is it's about the integration of processes together and understanding we are not working in silos and believing that we are a football team. And
yes,
since I'm cheering for Mo Salah, but I love more his assist balls to
mm,
Mani, for example, to shoot
Yeah.
more than
yeah,
the goals that he take. The issue is that we are all keen in our functional silos to win, but as a matter of fact, we are not winning against competition, winning against each other as functions. There is
yes,
nothing called within the organization. It's very important. We complete each other. And just to give that perspective, if we do understand that, as a matter of fact, credit limit sits in the heart of the S&OP process, by the
Mhm.
way. And I think I touched point on this when we
yes,
had the discussion earlier, that as a matter of fact, it's one of the financial constraints to S&OP.
yeah,
So
Mhm.
constraining a demand is not only about whether supply chain is capable of producing raw
Exactly.
material can you get
excellent,
or
Yes.
anything, or I can
yes,
ship
yes,
it, by the
yes,
way.
yes.
Financial constraining sits
Financial
as a
risk,
heart, which is
yes,
Mm.
related to the credit limit.
mm,
If we do understand this, and rather than when a finance person says we need to stop the shipment, everyone jumps against him. What are you saying? No, this is a good customer. He can pay. And you say he exceeded the
unfortunately,
credit limit, and everyone is jumping, and then he or she says, okay, let's go ahead, let's see, we will do the receivables,
unfortunately,
and we will
yes,
see how it works. But in reality, it is about working as a team,
Yeah.
and if
Yeah.
we believe so, beside the integration of the processes, if you just communicate with each other, it will be solving the problem.
Exactly, exactly. It's all about the business acumen. That's why I keep saying that everyone just work in his own silo and doesn't understand what's happening around it. It will never serve the company to their real imperatives. Because if I'm just thinking, as you said, that I'm thinking about how I can ship more, and I don't care what's happening
Yeah.
after, it could affect the business continuity. As you said, it could even cost me a lot. That's why just looking into 360 degrees from a business understanding, it's essential. That's why we're here. I think let's come back to our lovely audience. We have our friend Saad Gamal from Egypt. Hello, dear.
thank you for
Thank you
joining, sir.
for tuning in, Saad. Our lovely friend Omar Bajamal, great to see you. Thank you so much, Omar.
Thank you, Omar.
Yes. We have our friend Ahmed Ali from Egypt. Thank you so much for tuning in, Ahmed.
Thank you, Ahmed.
We have Mahmoud Badr from Egypt. Thank you, Mahmoud, for tuning in. Our lovely brother, Greg
Greg,
from Canada.
thank you,
Thank
Greg,
you.
for joining us.
Thank you so much. Our friend John from Dubai. Thank
Hi,
you for
John.
tuning in. I'm not sure, again, it's a challenge on LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn user. So, hello,
Yeah,
whoever. Great to
yes,
see you. And I think our LinkedIn user is from Iraq. Iraq, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
I hope this, yes. And Umaima, she is saying that super clear so far. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think this is our lovely friend, Manassa, which is
Nidal, I think. Nidal, no,
لا,
not, I think
Ahmed
Ahmad
Musa.
Musa. Ahmad Musa.
Ahmed
Thank you,
Musa.
Ahmad Musa, for
Yes,
joining.
he's
Thank you
just
so
sending
much.
greetings.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have our friend Ahmed Qasim. He's saying new norms versus order to cash. Great to see you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmad.
Our lovely friend Luis, best regards
From
from
Guatemala.
Guatemala.
Thank
Yes,
you.
great to
Thank you
see
for
you.
joining.
Thank you so much. Uh, Coming back, guys, I'm asking you, just feel free to ask whatever question in your mind. Don't be shy. Ask whatever your question into your mind. We will jump into your question just for the sake of the time in our episode. So I think that we covered the challenges as a top perspective from you, Rabab. Uh, the second one that I keep asking myself, and I think we need clarity on it when it comes to payment terms. When I look into some invoices or billing, I see each customer has like 45 days payment terms, sometimes 90, sometimes 60. What is the math behind it? Based on your experience,
Okay.
Even
how
60, Ahmad, sometimes I see and I get frustrated. Even me, I'm not in fact, I see 120 and 150 days. And how
We
can
want the
we,
customer happy.
yeah, yeah, but not like this. Sometimes sales make it very easy to get more orders. So they get, يعني they give a very flexible payment days and payment terms. I'm sure Rabab faced this from her experience. And how do you deal with this? Tell us. If you find like 150 and you want to decrease, and how do you get to
Okay.
talk to sales to solve this issue?
So as a matter of fact, let me say one thing, because there is a myth about that credit terms could be created by an ad hoc basis. There should be every company. This comes to the controls part that I was mentioning
Yeah.
before, where you need to have what we call the credit policy, the credit terms policy. It's part of your credit management, by the way, where it, as a matter of fact, this puts the methodology and the assumption behind the credit terms. And it could be by channel, it could be by category within the same customer. But let me touch point on the myth that whenever you say payment terms, you come to it's the days on the payment that you're expecting the customer to pay, or vice versa, you will pay the supplier. But it's beyond this, by the way. First of all, the most important thing is to define the credit limit for that customer.
Yes.
How much credit you will give to that customer. And that falls into some factors that we will come to it. But it is part of the credit and payment terms, by the way. Payment terms comes with the days as well of payment. Discounts that you will offer to customer if he pays you early. So early payment encouragement, are you willing to do that or not? This is another thing related to the company credit management policy. Last but not least, and it's very important, if you're going to charge your customer penalties, you cannot surprise your customer that you are charging him penalties for delays of payment. So you need to define when you will start charging your customer for delays of payment and ensure that it's being communicated. Now, all of this comes into what we call one-pager policy. Could be a unified policy, could be, as I mentioned, would be by channel. So if you, let's say, channel could be, by the way, regional. So location wise, if you have multiple cities and each city is different, could be. By channel, when we mean it by this, we mean it by if you are like a big company of multinationals that operates with pharmacies, operate with key retailers or key chains like modern trade, or with traditional trade. So you define what channel you're operating in: small retailer, big retailer, wholesalers, and so on. So this is what we call as a channel. And it's very important that we understand the factors that define the credit term policy. Now comes to the point that is very important. And by the way, it is not the decision of the CFO. It's not the decision of the sales director or let me say, the chief officer as well. It's actually a collective policy with methodology of calculation that needs to be signed off by the sales director, by the finance director or the CFO, and eventually by the chairman and the CEO. And to that extent, it's very important. Now let's go to the factors. Factors could be internal and could be external. Let's start with the external one, your customer. Did you do a checkpoint on your customer financials? You have the right to ask your customer for their financial position. Could be they couldn't share with you their financial statements. They don't have already financial statements, but they have to share with you your financial position. And then you need to do, your finance people do the checkpoints, whether the financial position is good or not. Do what we call a background check with the banks. Ask them for their banks that they have bank relationship with. If they are good customers, they fulfill the payments they do or not. So the customer is the first checking point defining the credit terms. Second, do you want to compete or you don't want to compete? So if your competition is offering 45 days, how come you will say cash? Then you need to think of it. Yeah. Whether you want to compete in the industry or not. This is another factor. The third factor, which is very important, which we mentioned, and Ahmed as well, you were mentioning it, part of the challenges, the segmentation of the market. Who defines that the customer, and let me say the smallest retailer who is existing, and I see many audience in Egypt so they can relate, in Upper Egypt, and you're selling him Rexona or you're selling him a shampoo that is costing more than the cash flow for the consumer to get it. So why did you send this product? As a matter of fact, segmentation of the market is very important. Understanding the channel and the product that should be in that in that channel is very important. Alia mentioned point, different lead times. So here, checking point, if my SU, the sourcing unit that I'm getting it, as a matter of fact, for the product to reach the customer will take him 30 days. And now with the, I know everyone knows we have container challenges, sea freight is surging, going to air freight, and we don't know what we will do. Availability is a challenge. So nowadays we are actually reaching out to our customers and telling them we cannot commit to a delivery day. This is another point to define. All of these are external factors to define your credit term policy. Now let's go to the internal factors, if the external factors are clear. And the internal factors are quite interesting. When are you going to pay your suppliers? Are you going to pay from your own money if you don't have money? So it can a suppliers, if let's say the average payments terms to suppliers and the payables are 90 days. Guess what? You cannot have your customers 90 days or 120 days.
Zero cash.
Need to, you don't have cash. Then comes the second part. You will have to borrow. If you will borrow, then the cost of capital, the cost of borrowing. And it's very important. Guess what? If you're not a big company and you go to the bank and they give you a high interest rate, then you're adding to your expenses. Do you charge interest rate to your customer in pricing? Another question to ask yourself. All of these triggering points, then a company when defines that policy, internally, they need to define, first question, when is my bills are due? My obligations, I pay salaries, at least, let's say here, you need to have at least 35% of your payments from the customers, 30 days, because you pay salaries, you pay utilities in 30 days. Let's think of it. So at least 35% needs to be covering that. And then comes the balance, which is your rest of payables will be depending on your average. Very important. Now comes part of the internal factors which no one knows or don't not think of it, or marketing. When you tell them, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Your activities, the type of activities, because your customers are very smart. So if you go and do a trade activity that lasts 3 months, they know that the more that towards the last month they will order, they will be able to get a very big discount. So what they do, they hold their ordering and they do it in the last months. So your activity can trigger as well your factors of credit policy. So you need to define, you could, by the way, as part, since it's a policy, written, documented, one time and communicated, it is legalized and governed with the auditors, that you can go ahead, you can say for my activities, and you define the type of activities that you will give a credit term different.
Wow. Just if you allow me,
please,
sure.
Please.
I think
I know. I was waiting for that.
You were understanding.
Really.
But sorry, you clapped. There was another one, last but not least. Sorry for that.
Sure.
Your product. Your
Yes,
product.
Exactly.
Companies or people who works in multi-diversified product portfolio will understand what I mean. There are products that are running. You can actually get the raw material, you produce it, you sell it, you collect the money, and you still didn't pay your supplier. You're working with the money of the supplier, not your own money. And then there is another product that is heavy. Seasonality due to demand. And here comes S&OP plays again. And hence, when you do your S&OP and your demand planning and you're working on this one, this is very important. Your credit management sits in the heart and you need to do these checking points.
Yeah, just I'm so curious about this point, Rabab, which is the product management or product behavior, and I think it's some challenge, and I'm thinking just with you loudly, if you are talking about product or segmentation, so there are some products that, as you said, that the turnover of the products it's very fast.
Absolutely.
Some products, the turnover of the products is very I would say slow, but when I look into most organizations, they use one size fits all, which is they just segment the credit limits or the payment terms even by a customer, but not by a product.
Product.
Is it yes? Is it feasible?
It
Is it
is.
feasible to do so?
It is. It is. And that's why you have an ERP. By the way, guess what? We pay millions, by the way, for ERP system, subsystem, and Oracle
Mm,
system. They are not cheap systems, huh? So
mm,
we
mm.
keep calling digitization, automation. Let's go for machine learning. Before that, did you use the whole feature of the
Exactly.
car that you have bought? You bought a
Mm.
Mercedes or a BM, but you didn't use it, by the way.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yes, you
Yes.
can. You do that segmentation, but again, very important governance. You have to document this in your credit management policy that
Mm,
issued at the beginning of the year and justify why. Why this product, as a matter of fact, and by the way, it could be the other way around because that product is heavy in terms of turnover. You would want
mm.
the customer to buy it. So you tell him instead of paying me 30 days, pay me for that product in 60 days. And it's fine because the other one, which is having a high turnover, it's actually sellable. You can give him
Yeah.
15 or cash.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, exactly. That's why I keep just also thinking from the other side. I think to make something like that, I believe, as you said, it's all about the ERP and order management and order entry, especially when you have how you can segment your products from the order entry itself, because you cannot have one invoice or one order has two products and with different payment terms. I think it's all about the order entry itself. Am I right?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also it's about yeah, the job of portfolio management and how important it is to have someone who understands this and delivers this, and the kind of collaboration between marketing, sales, and finance to define this like ABC analysis or define these categories that the runners and the slow
Correct.
movers and all that, so that according to that you're going to do your credit policy as Rabab is
Absolutely.
saying. Yeah.
Absolutely. And allow me to add on this, and I will dwell in
Sure.
2 points. One is net revenue management. There is this concept, by the way, and most
Mm,
by the companies like Pepsi, or Coca-Cola, or the car industry are using the
mm,
net revenue management, which is define where is your shopper, not where is your consumer. And that's a different
mm,
thing. So
mm.
by the shopper. So first of all, defining the occasion of using your product, and then then the consumer, and then who would be shopping for that consumer, and then defining in that place the product should sit in which channel, which customer. This is
Yeah.
very important. Now, why we don't do that? Because we are greedy. We want it all, and we are hopeful, and this is part of the dreaming and the hopefulness. We hope that actually by putting our product everywhere, every place, they will buy it. But just ironically, I want to say one personal experience: the McDonald's. You would find them if you go in McDonald's in each country. There is a unique product being sold that is not sold in the rest of the McDonald's
Yes,
channels.
Mm.
That
yes,
is what we call specification, which linked to the country itself.
yes.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
Rabab is not an expert only in finance and marketing
This is
also. Yeah.
this is
This is
I
marketing.
told you, not marketing, supply chain, sales, everything, and I kept this. I kept
Excellent,
saying
Rabab.
this the
Yes,
same. Yes.
yes,
So,
yes.
Rabab, I think also one of the challenges, which is inside the order to cash cycle, and we need also to understand the math behind it. It's setting the credit limits per customer. So I think setting the credit limits per customer, it's sometimes almost of the time it's absolute value. Let's say this credit limit for
Correct.
this customer, it's X millions. This customer also is X millions. What is the math behind it, and how you can set a right one, and why should we have a credit limit inside the order to
Guess
cash?
what? S&OP. Now comes the part, which is,
Yes.
but to be frank, budgeting. But budgeting is stemmed from S&OP. So
Yeah.
just to be very clear, if you want to understand budgets of operational plan, whatever you call it, so some people call it annual plan, operational plan, target setting, whatever it is, the starting point is S&OP. Because if that customer, first of all, you need to define what would be the total sales plan of that customer for the year. The size, the total size. Let's say that customer, let's take an example, it's for simplicity, 12 million euro, yeah?
Okay.
And hence, your customer, you want him to say that's based on the portfolio you analyzed, and you said it's 30 days. Then the maximum credit limit you can give to the customer is what? 1 million.
1 million. Yeah.
Now, this definition of customer credit limit defining, by the way, sits not with I wouldn't say the order to cash team, which is the finance, commercial, sales commercial team, whatever you call it in your organization. It has to be with customer service. It has to be with S&OP demand planning, supply planning team. It has to be with the sales director as well, or the sales force team, let's say account manager. And then based on that, you have to have what we call financial KPIs and non-financial KPIs. Because it could be that, yes, Rabab, yes, our ambition to that customer or our plan to that customer is 12 million. But the gross ambition with that customer is 30% more on that 12 million. So we need to increase that credit limit. Now that comes the part where finance will do the credit check points. Credit check is like any bank. How strong your financial position is. And let me say one thing. Come to think of it, 2009 when happened the recession, the global recession. 2020 when we had the pandemic. What first thing everyone said when we didn't have a clue in global recession what we do, what in pandemic we do? Everyone said what for companies and organization, whether a startup or a big one, please collect your cash, your overdues.
Yes.
This is very important. That's why credit limit defining for the customer, which is absolute, it cannot be other than absolute. It has to come back to an equation, and that equation will be defined by the total sales plan. Now, if your S&OP, let me say accuracy, how much percentage?
60%.
Yeah,
Let's say.
and then within I would not say, because actually when everyone will say bias, we are plus or minus 4%, we are like this, but accuracy, because accuracy, as a matter of fact, defines
SQ
what you will
level.
do with your customers.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just one thing also came into my mind. Is there a relation between the credit limit and the payment terms? There is any relation between
Yes,
them?
yes. So if you remember when I said if you set it that he will pay in 30 days, because now of the internal factors. So you took into consideration the external, and then you realized most of your payables are coming to be 30 days. And I'll come how solutions now finance try to play around so that we can manage cash. But if let's say we define the 30 days, it defined the total value, which is 1 million euro, because the total plan is 12 million.
Yeah.
That's how it's being defined.
But as we spoke, that forecast would never be right, and especially even if we come to budgeting, and what I understood from you that mostly, and when you set the credit limit, it will be annually. I'm saying
Correct.
forecasting my annually, so I do
Correct.
my budget according to that. So for whatever reason, as we spoke, that we are in a uncertain way, and the best accuracy that you could have on SQ level in the best companies in the world could be 65 66% on SQ level. So what I'm saying here, sometimes even the activity plan, when it goes into account level, it could change. So I can
Correct.
take some of my budget from this customer to another customer. So and this will never happen. Maybe it will never happen in the budgeting, the annual budget that I would have. It could happen during the S&OP cycle itself.
Correct.
And my question now is, if there is any I would say outlier or a spike on the change one time on budget from a customer to another customer, which means that the incremental sales will be higher for this customer, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying that if we have these incremental sales and we set the customer at the lower base that we have it before when we did the budget. How can we solve this challenge? And do you think that there is an input in our S&OP from that point if there is any change in the budget? I know maybe it's outlier, but I'm thinking with you loudly.
So let me say that that falls into the question that I think before the pandemic, it was raised by many business, let me say, acumen
Mm.
coaches, where they kept saying whether budgets are limiting companies to grow to their maximum
Yeah,
Mm,
or
yeah,
not.
nice
mm,
one.
Yeah, because if you come to think of it, if you go to the salespeople at the
mhm.
beginning of the year without any S&OP, without our like trying to go for historical trend, trying to bring
Yeah,
seasonality and the marketing going and playing what would be our plans for this year and so on. Ask this person, guess what? This chain, how much will it grow? 10%, 2%, 5%, and they will come to this based on their how they see the customers picking up, yeah, on their sales and
Mm,
so on from that perspective. And then if you collect all of that together, you would find that the company could grow 12, 20%. But then comes the mindset of, you know what, let me budget low to deliver high, to preempt risks
yeah,
and opportunities,
yeah.
to
To
do
get
adjustments.
a
And
raise.
then it becomes 5, 6%. And then in reality, when we go deliver, we deliver 2, 3% for some other reasons. But yes, to come to answer your question, that's why a policy is having an exception. You have to write when you document when you can go and you change your credit limit policy or your
mm,
credit limit of that customer. There are triggering points where you can go in and change it. Now, there is a governance process, and then definitely you would be the non biased party. And honestly, no offense to anyone, finance is the non biased party here. So they should be the governing party, which
mm.
they say, okay, we can go in and do an exception where we accept this customer to exceed the credit limit or the payment terms to exceed, which is overdues coming and being accepted, and we still ship to them.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
brilliant.
that's a good point. I think we did it. I did it once. I think it was finance in one of the companies that we segmented the customers that we have customers group of customers that are we expect that they do pay that we have long relationship with and group of customers that so we
Yes,
don't we're not sure about it. So the credit limit is tight and they don't pay on time. So we stop the shipments. I think yeah, this is very important to do that and to revise this not only according to the budget because as you said during the budget exercise, everybody's trying to make the budget low so that when he makes an achievement, we say, "Wow, this is great and we're growing and all that." And there is no in some companies there is no like where the S&OP is not robust. They don't revise the numbers and don't go and check the numbers month in month
true.
out. So the room for growth is they lose a lot
Limited, yes.
Yeah,
of room leverage for growth and room for growth.
yeah.
Great
And I
point,
want to
Rabab. Yes,
I want to
go
add
ahead.
one thing because I see Alec Dashur has matter of fact has mentioned that credit limit is a combination between factors of risk factor terms and sales plan, which is she's right. Risk factors of the customer, which is what you did, Ahmed, by the way, looked into
Mm,
the customer risk profile. And it's
Yeah,
very
mm,
important. And by the way, it's a conversation. It's really a conversation of assessing and truly opening up. It's not about making the sales because guess what? If you do a sales, but it's negative profit, and then it's no cash, then
mm.
what is the end
It's the
result?
aim. Yeah.
yeah,
At 1 year could be reported sales, you did a good job, but at a negative profit, hidden between the rest, fine,
Exactly.
passed. But then comes to think of it, it becomes a bad debt, and a bad debt that will be
Mm,
actually
seen,
hitting you
yeah.
next year. So no,
I've
there's
seen
no
this
point of it.
sometimes, yeah. To sorry to interrupt or to. I've seen this
No.
sometimes that at the end of the month we push a lot of sales, for example, do a lot of discounts to reach the top line. Then we're surprised that we're losing or the bottom line is eroding the bottom line and the profit is
Absolutely.
getting lower. Yeah, yeah. Totally,
yeah.
totally true. Yeah.
Brilliant. So coming back to our core discussion, uh, what are the types of claims? And I see that there are many claims, multiple claims that comes from a customer to distributor, whatever. I'm not sure about the distributor model or just the business model that's working, but let's focus on the B2B. So a reconciliation between a distributor to a retailer or a customer. What are the claims types and how to deal with it?
Okay, so let's divide them into two parts. One is what we call business process claims, which is normal business operations, and then we call error correction claims, which is a bigger issue for us. Let's go with the business process claims. You are running an activity which is a volume driven activity, so it's slabs related to volume. This you have to wait till the sell out is being in place, and then the customer reports what is the sell out. Sell out for everyone is what you sell to the consumer. For example, a customer to the consumer. So he's waiting on that volume, returning back with the report, and then someone reconciles whether the accuracy of the information, and then this customer is entitled for that discount. This is one. This is discount claims per se. Activity claims, or claims, by the way, that you agreed with the customer based on the contract. You're doing a contract with the customer, sharing information. Information now is very important. You want them to accept that you put your, let me say, machine learning, or you do predictive tools with them, and then you have to pay them a discount of 1%, for example, on their total or end year volumes. This is one, could be a claim. Yeah. And then there is another claims which you agree with the customer, putting your product on the shelf, displays on the of the product, putting your ads in the store. All of these, what we call business as usual claims. Customer is happy, he's just claiming from you, you're just verifying the activity, whether he is entitled for it, and then you're paying it. Okay, this is very easy one.
Perfect.
Now comes the error one, which is very important. Oops, the 2 bottles of the shampoo needs to be claimed. Or, oops, the price is wrong. Or, oops, we forgot to put, we have actually claimed on the product that we are doing 20% discount, but when we priced the customer, we priced him in full without the 20%, despite it's printed on the pack, 20%. Master data comes in place. So
Yeah.
these are the hardest one, because these actually, if you don't check regularly, reconcile regularly, you wouldn't know why your payments are not coming through. And this is very important. And I just want everyone to reflect one thing. 30% of the accounting process cost goes into order to cash. 30%, 1/3 of the total accounting process. Very huge amount of cost. Now you find organizations tending to push it out, outsource it. With, by the way, order management, with they are trying any transactional thing to outsource it. Why is that? Because the number of inefficiencies and errors that are caused because of human errors in our organization is costing some organizations have claimed it's costing them from 6% to 25% of their revenue.
Wow.
Annualized revenue. Now it differs from big corporations with governance process and smaller corporations with having issues. But to the fact, that's why are they saying outsourcing. Now, is outsourcing will prove to be right or wrong? We never know. We didn't test it in full yet. But it could be the other way around as well. It could create more inefficiencies or create more efficiencies. But to that extent, errors in the system could affect your claim management process, subsequently affect your payment process, and hence your cash process.
Yeah.
Great point.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
Rababi. So well
Thank you.
summarized. I think we have one question from
Sure.
our friend Said. He's
I
asking,
know. Yeah.
so in a VUCA world, it's important to keep customers happy, loyalty. Given all the challenges discussed by Rabab, it's necessary to move the conversation from cost to value. Value for customers is the key sustainable growth. How could we just let me, because it's not appearing, how could we get the collaboration with the silo structure in the organization given the O2C, order to cash cycles?
Okay. So, Said, thank you so much for that question. It's very important that we clarify one thing. Customer, as a matter of fact, is very important. But as a matter of fact, we overestimate the value, we underestimate the value of our product or the offering that we give. And hence we are afraid of the customer. And hence we don't ask for the right of the organization. Now, the point is, and it's very important, the conversation with the salespeople, and you have rightly said it, the collaboration point, where when you sit with the salesperson, while you're giving him for innovation, sometimes you give the trade brief about the product, what is it, what's going to add value to your portfolio. As a matter of fact, you need to sit with the salespeople and ensure that they are convinced with the value that you're offering as an organization, whether in terms of service, whether in terms of product, whether in terms of benefits that he or customer will get because of the long-term relationship. And you have to keep reminding that conversation. We don't do it. S&OP demand and supply reconciliation ends as demand and supply reconciliation. It's beyond this.
Yes.
And I think Ahmed rubbed for us. I
Yeah.
think.
No, this kind I think he will come back. Of course, it's a great answer, Rabab. I hope we answered Sayed Arfan question, but I'm so it was so well explained from your side. I think about all this order to cash cycles, and that we don't have to be afraid from customers. We have to believe in our products, and this is the kind that will break the silo structures and the silo thinking that we're having in our organization. So it's a great way to like summarize it, Rabab. Ahmed, I think you're with us. I can hear you, but I cannot
Yes,
see you.
I'm not sure what's happening on my camera, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Again, but I think that we have reached to our lovely episode end. Rababa, I would like to thank you really for giving us these years and years of experience and insights and values personally,
Yeah,
and I
I
believe
think
also Ahmed.
exactly.
Ahmed,
I think we
yeah,
need more than 1 hour, Rabab, and I think we will
Thank
get
you.
there
No,
again
thank you.
in another
It's my
session, because a
pleasure.
lot of values, financial, as I said, marketing, sales, a lot of values we got from Rabab today, and I hope all our
Thank you.
audience feel the same. Yes.
yeah.
Thank you.
So we would like to thank you again, Rabab, and we would like to thank all the audience that they attended today. And as Ahmed said, let's have another episode. Think that you have treasures, so these treasures has to be uncovered to
Thank
all
you.
of our
I'm
community.
humbled. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank,
I'm humbled.
Thank you.
This is more than I deserve, but thank you so much. And I hope it's a useful session for everyone.
it's same here. Thank you, and have a
Thank
great
you.
day, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone. Thank
Bye.
you,
Bye
Rabab.
bye.
Thank
Thanks.
you,
Bye
Ahmed.
Bye.
bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.